Hey makers, this is Roveen, and in this episode I'm going to talk about A to Z about the Copilot Studio licensing in detail. And yes, I'm going to talk about latest licensing that has been rolled out in August 2026. One disclaimer: licensing is basically subject to matter of changing. So whenever you are watching this video, maybe just check out the latest licensing from Microsoft end because they are frequent making changes into the licensing part. But at this point, what's the latest licensing? Let's have a quick look around that. So when Microsoft has rolled out the new version of the Copilot Studio, which is calling as a GitHub Copilot harness, at the time the complete new licensing model has been introduced over there. Now how exactly that is working and all, let's have a quick look around that. But before that, let's just check out the update that Microsoft has given around the two versions of the Copilot Studio. When you are opening your Microsoft Copilot Studio, this is the interface you see now. This is called as a modern interface of Copilot Studio. And right now there is a switch available to turn on and turn off between the new and old experience. So currently I am on the new experience over here. Now, whenever you are watching this video, maybe if it is in the general availability and maybe there is a chance that classic is deprecated, then probably you will not be able to see. But at this point, this is what you can see at this point. Now let's go to the agent option over here. When you are going in the agent option and when you are start creating any new agent over here, there are two type of agent creation capability available. One is GitHub Copilot harness agent and second one is standard harness agent. Now for both the type of agent, it consumes the credit, but the way it is consuming the credit, it is a little bit different. So today in this episode, I'm going to talk about that complete idea end to end over here. So let me just switch over myself to my PowerPoint presentation deck and start with today's session. First of all, we will try to understand how the consumption is calculated in the Copilot Studio using the credit option. Then we will be talking about what are the four different options to buy the licenses in the Copilot Studio. Then we will be going to talk about two different plans in detail about Copilot Studio Pre-Purchase Plan P3 and Microsoft Agent Pre-Purchase Plan P3. And then we'll discuss around three harnesses which are available in the Copilot Studio and how it is calculating the credit against that. That complete idea I'm going to give you end to end. So first of all, let me explain you what is a Copilot credit. Generally in Copilot Studio world, a Copilot credit is common currency Microsoft uses to build AI and agentic AI work across its stack. It basically measures the agent usage, the number of credit consumed depending on how the agent is designed, how it is used, and which feature it calls. So basically, there are mainly three things to drive the consumption. Number one is agent design, that how the agent is built, its harness, whether it's a standard harness or GitHub Copilot harness or Microsoft Chat harness, what kind of harness it is using, how it is being used, which means that volume and depth of interaction, like turns during the authoring, invocations and runtime, and which feature it calls, which means that it is doing the generative answer or agent action or graph grounding or AI tool. It different the pricing for different type of task. Now there are four ways to buy this credit at this point in the Copilot Studio. Four ways to buy, or you can consider as a Copilot Studio licensing. It has four different options right now. Earlier, there was only two options, pay as you go and Copilot Studio Credit Pack. But another two options Microsoft has launched around 6 months back. So I'm going to talk about those things as well in detail. So number one plan that is available to buy the credit pack is pay as you go. It's like mobile's postpaid connection, which means that you can pay and once every month the bill is generated and you are paying against your consumption. So basically it is tied to your Azure subscription and the pricing is 0.01 dollar per credit. That's the pricing over here. So at the end, let's say for an example, if you are using 100 credit overall for your Copilot Studio, then 100 multiplied by 0.01 dollar is equal to whatever costing is that. That's something you need to pay for, but it will generated at the end of the month. Second plan under this umbrella is Copilot Studio Capacity Pack License. This is again popular model which most of the organization at this point are using. So generally it's a monthly subscription, and basically 25,000 credits you are getting with this capacity pack. The pricing for that is $200 per month for 25,000 credit. Now the thing is that these are not carry forward. So if in a month if you not consume it fully, and maybe if you have left some credit, then second month it will not renew, it will be just start from zero. So make sure, so basically the people who are having the regular usage of Copilot Credit, usually they are going with this capacity pack license. And generally pay as you go is mostly suitable for the people who are doing the experiments, POC, and they really don't know the consumption. For them to go with pay as you go will be good plan. Okay, now third plan, which is very amazing plan, which is called as a Copilot Credit Pre-Purchase Plan. Pre-purchase plan's short form is P3. Now, what is this particular plan? So this plan is basically commit for a year, and basically you can save more money from it. Now, exactly what type of credit this Copilot Credit Pre-Purchase Plan is offering, let me tell you now. Not only just Copilot Studio, but your Copilot Chat, which is your M365 Copilot Chat, and D365 first party agent also covered in the same credit. Okay, and credits are basically auto deducted, and again it come up with the 1 year of commitment, and the credit which are available is throughout the year. So probably you can this plan is best suitable for those people who do not have the constant usage on every month, but on some of the seasons they have the higher usage, some of the seasons they have the lower usage. At the time this plan is like a savior for them. So this is third plan. Fourth plan is Microsoft Agent Pre-Purchase Plan. This is also called as a P3 plan, but this is Microsoft Agent Pre-Purchase Plan, and that this is the one which is Copilot Credit Pre-Purchase Plan. Now over here there is a one minor difference. Now this is basically one pool for agent across Copilot Studio and Foundry. So the same license is shared across your Copilot Studio, Microsoft Foundry, your GitHub Copilot, and Microsoft Fabric. So for each one you don't need to buy the separate independent license. It will work across all these four products over there. So this is again another cool licensing that they have introduced over here. Now this is the high level summary about the costing that you can see on my screen over here. Now the thing is that when to choose what kind of license, this is like a full summary table for that. So specifically, as I said, that no upfront purchase. So if you are someone who is in the POC phase and who are exploring, maybe this is the go-to plan for you. Then this plan is basically the tenant wide and monthly. So basically if you are having the steady and predictable monthly usage, maybe you can go with this particular plan. This Copilot Credit Pre-Purchase Plan is basically if you are seeking the annual commitment and cost saving and budget predictability, maybe you can just go with this particular plan. And Agent Pre-Purchase Plan, so maybe if you are someone who want to use Copilot Studio, Foundry, Fabric, and GitHub Copilot, all these product, and you need a single subscription for all of them, maybe you can plan for Microsoft Agent Pre-Purchase Plan for yourself. All this information is available in the official Microsoft documentation guide as well, which I will walk you through in a moment. Now, let's just go at the very high level for each individual plan over here. So pay as you go, as I said, $0.01 per credit that you are paying for. And again, nothing need to be paid in front. Every month the bill will be generated, and Azure based subscription is there. Okay. Second plan is capacity pack. As I said, $200 per month per pack, no carry forward, 25,000 credit per pack you are getting, and effective cost per credit is something which you do some mathematics, and this is what we are getting over here. So if you are having the regular monthly usage, this would be your go-to plan for yourself. Okay. Now third plan, which is P3, Copilot Credit Pre-Purchase Plan. Again, as I said, this is also Azure based plan. So of course you need to manage that through the Azure billing over here. For higher plan, they are offering up to 20% of the discount over here, and budget predictability is more flexible plan, and no redeployment will required, and scope is pretty much defined over here. Now if we look at the costing around here, so when you are going with appropriate tier in the P3 Copilot Credit Pre-Purchase Plan, you are getting certain set of discount like this 5% to 20% of discount that you are getting when you are buying more and more credit over here. Now let's try to understand how the pricing is calculated over here. Now this is called as a Copilot credit over here. Now in $1 you are getting 100 Copilot credit over here. Okay, which means that overall here you are getting 3 lakh credit over here. So 3 lakh divided by 100. So how much you are getting? For this tier, you are paying $3,000 annually over that. And overall, you are getting 3 lakhs credit over here. So this is how it is being calculated. So every Copilot credit commit unit is costing you $1 and in which you are getting 100 credit. Okay, so this is how it is being formulated. Copilot credit commit unit. This is how it is calculating, and one Copilot credit commit unit will cost you $1. Okay, and in $1 you are getting 100 credits. Okay, so how many credits we are getting over here? 3 lakhs. So 3 lakhs divided by 100, which means that how many commit units you are purchasing over here. That's something which is the answer of this. So 3000 commit unit you will purchase and the pricing for this is 3000. So simply you just need to divide it by 100 and that will give you the costing over here. So for second tier, if you want to purchase, the pricing will be 15,000. Third tier, if you are purchasing, the pricing will be higher. Okay, so you are smart enough to calculate this, but this is how it is being calculated over here. All right, so this is our third option. Fourth option is basically the Microsoft Agent Pre-Purchase Plan. As I said, in this particular product, it is having multiple things. It covers Microsoft Foundry, Microsoft Copilot Studio, Fabric, and GitHub Copilot. Everything in one subscription. So there is a one plan, one governance path, and of course, predictable saving. You will be able to get it from there. Now, what's the costing for this particular plan? Let's talk about that. So this is called as a agent commit units. Okay, and overall here you can see that first of all, this is like a tier 1 is coming up with 20,000 agent commit unit. Tier 2 will come up with 1 lakh agent commit unit, and tier 3 will come up with 5 lakh agent commit units. And what's the pricing over there? Let's talk about that. For tier 1, the pricing is $19,000. Tier 2 $90,000 and tier 3 $4,25,000. And of course discount also I have mentioned over here, but of course you need to go basically with official Microsoft documentation, and when you are purchasing always contact sales team before committing. But this is like a high level pricing I'm just defining over here. Now the question arises in our mind that okay, this is called as a agent commit unit, but how it is being consumption calculated? So let's say for an example, if you are using the same thing in the Copilot Studio and let's say your 100 credit is being consumed, so from this 20,000 bundle 100 will be minus from it, and whatever will be left which you can consume it for the rest of the processes. So that's how it is being calculated. Now let's summarize the overall thing, that when you need what type of license. So when you are in the exploration mode, go with the pay as you go. When your usage is steady month by month, go with the capacity pack. When you are ready for committing for a year for Copilot credit, you can go with the Copilot credit pre-purchase plan. And you need Foundry, Fabric, and specifically GitHub Copilot also to be consumed in a single subscription. Maybe at the time you can go with the Microsoft Agent pre-purchase plan over here. So this is how you can simply purchase the credit. So far we understand that how credits are important in the Copilot Studio space and what are the different licensing plan for that. Now next phase we are talking about how the credits are getting consumption, and specifically when you build any type of agent, how it is being calculated. So we need to understand that part now. For that, I need to explain you one interesting concept of harness in the world of Copilot Studio. So we are having three type of harness in the Copilot Studio: GitHub Copilot harness, standard harness, and Copilot chat harness. Now let me practically show you exactly what do we mean by this one. So we know that recent update that Microsoft has given, and at the beginning of the video, I have talked about that option as well. There are two type of harness in the Copilot Studio specifically. If you are building your agent with the modern UI or modern interface, it uses behind the scene GitHub Copilot engine. So, and that called as a GitHub Copilot harness agent over there. And if you are working with a traditional based agent, which is having the traditional way of orchestration and traditional way of topics and all, at the time you are usually using the standard harness agent. Now, credit consumption is different for the both the model. And let's talk about the third option, which is Copilot chat harness over here, which is basically your Microsoft 365 chat experience where you are building the agent with the knowledge sources. So that is a different thing. Now let's talk about one important thing around that. So specifically in your Copilot Studio, when you are opening your new experience and any agent which is created with the new interface, it's called as a GitHub Copilot harness agent, and any agent which is created with the classic version, it is called as a standard harness agent. And even if you don't want to recognize your agent by that, there is one more option. When you are opening your agent experience, there is a powered by column available over here, and there they have clearly articulated that what is the behind the scene engine and what is the type of the agent, whether it is a GitHub Copilot harness agent or whether it's a standard harness agent. You can pick up any one of them appropriately from here. Now the fundamental here is this two harness is pretty clear to understand, but what about Microsoft 365 harness? So specifically if you are opening your M365 chat experience over here, at that time you will be going across with that particular harness. So specifically this is my M365 Copilot, and over here as well there is an option to create a new agent. And if you are creating any new agent using this particular experience in your M365, at that time this is considered as our third harness, which is Copilot chat harness in the world of Copilot Studio. Now the thing is that we need to use certain set of rules to understand it much more better over here, that what exactly the consumption model looks like over here. So the first point that we need to consider over here is what it powers. So GitHub Copilot harness agent is basically power your modern agent workflow and applications. Standard agent is basically powering your rule-based agent and agent flow, and Copilot chat is basically powering your M365 Copilot chat. Everyone is using the Copilot credit, and what credit? That's something we talked about earlier. Any one of the licensing that you have purchased, from that your consumption is being calculated. Now when the billing is starting in any of these three type of agent, let's talk about that. So specifically when you are using the GitHub Copilot harness agent, from start building of the agent itself, now here don't make it controversial over here. When you start building, which means that if you are using AI to build your agent, then it will start the build right now. If you do any manual configuration, it will not start that. Remember that thing. Standard agent, development, there is nothing required, no matter if you are using AI or non-AI, and only after you publish it, it will start consuming your credit. And Copilot chat is also doing the same thing over here. Okay. Now generally if people are having M365 Copilot license, which is $30 per user license, at the time standard harness and Copilot chat, it is mostly covered into that. It is not consumed the licenses or credit from the overall pack. But in GitHub Copilot case, no matter if you are having $30 license or not, it will consume from your overall credit usage pack. And GitHub Copilot agent is based for multi-step business process end-to-end, and specifically standard harness is possibly like a well-defined and predictable scenario, and Copilot chat is basically like grounded answer from your own knowledge content. You can go with that. Now let me just talk about these fundamentals a little bit practically over here, so you will get a better insight around that. So first concept that we need to understand here is when you are building an agent, so you can clearly see that this is the new modern interface over here. Now in this modern interface, let's say if I'm writing over here that, hey, I want to build IT chatbot agent where I'm need to insert the data into my dataverse, and upon that I want to notify via email. Now when you're writing this statement and when you are creating an agent using this experience, at the time, yes, it will consume the Copilot credit, and they clearly say this thing here in the UI itself. Okay, understand that. But let's say for an example, if you are here in your agent and when you are doing the new agent and when you are start writing the agent right now by providing name, instruction, configuring everything by your own, at the time for the creation it will not consume any single penny from you. So remember that thing over here. Okay, same thing apply over here as well. So let's say for an example, if I'm going into a classic version of the Copilot Studio over here, and if I'm opening the standard harness agent over here, this is the way you can build your agent and workflow. If you are using this interface to build, nothing will be charged because it's a standard harness agent over here. Okay, now let me open the standard harness agent over here. So this is the standard harness agent, and over here we have used the different tools, knowledge source, trigger, whatever we used over here. Basically it follows the traditional licensing how the Copilot Studio was earlier consuming. So basically if I'm opening the official Microsoft documentation around that, this is what it will consume over here. So you can see that for any classic answer from the standard harness, 1 Copilot credit will be consumed. For any generative answer, 2 credit will be consumed. For any agent action, 5 credit will be consumed. Any answers from 10 and graph routing, 10 credit will be consumed. Agent flow action per 100 action, 13 Copilot credit will be consumed. But in case if you are having M365 Copilot license already, at the time no charge will be applicable on that. If you are using any AI tool over here, according to the different text and response, it will consume the 1 credit. If you are using the standard 1 to 10 response, then it will consume the 15 Copilot credit and 1.5 Copilot credit per 1000 tokens. That's how it is being calculated. So they have articulated clearly this whole thing in the standard harness agent, and this is the licensing model which we were following since years for the Copilot Studio. But again, right now this calculation only and only work for the standard harness agent, which means that old UI of Copilot Studio, if any agent is built with that, then this licensing model is being followed, and from your overall capacity, whatever you have purchased at your tenant level, from there it will be calculated and deducted from it. Okay, so that's how it is being applied over here. If you are using any voice tier for standard harness agent, this is the consumption which you can see on my screen. I have provided the same link in the description box. Have a look over there, and the pricing is and again, like a consumption table is being changed whenever you are watching this recording. So maybe it's always good practice that you always refer the latest Microsoft documentation around that part. Now let me open the official guide from August 2026 from Microsoft side to explain you the credit consumption for the GitHub Copilot harness agent. It is working a little bit different over here. So first, let's go to the Copilot Studio from here and let's try to understand the consumption over here. So basically in the GitHub Copilot harness agent, there are 2 types of consumption is happening. One is agent creation consumption. Okay, so basically overall here you can see this particular section in the official PDF of Microsoft, that creation of agent and workflow. If you are creating with GitHub Copilot harness, at the time it will consume the credit. But again, as I'm saying, if you are doing manually this thing, this will not to be considered over here. But let's say if you are making a prompt and using prompt you are building an agent, then of course it will consume your credit. Okay, now what happened here is like what kind of credit it will consume. Let's try to understand that. So whenever you are using the natural language creation process, at that time, if your prompt is smaller, and let's say for an example, it is taking 1 to 2 conversation turn over here, and at that time it will consume 1 to 20 credit in between. It is divided into the second part as a medium creation scenarios. So if you are having a little bit lengthier prompt and maybe it is taking 3 to 5 conversation turn, then your estimated credit consume is 21 to 60. And if you are heavy creation scenario, and if your prompt is larger and you are having 6+ conversation done, at the time your estimated credit will be 61 plus over here. They have provided some sort of examples over here which you can read out on my screen over here. Okay, but this is what the consumption over here. Now, second important thing, in the modern agent, even if you are doing the testing, if you are doing the preview and evaluation, at that time also credit consumption will be considered over here. No Copilot credit are consumed for the manual configuration. That is also something we need to highlight. Again, I'm saying multiple times, if you are doing the manually, then no charges for that. Okay, specifically in the build and monitor tab, it will not charge anything, but when you are doing the preview and when you are making a prompt to test that time, at the time of course your credit will be getting consumed over that. Okay, so that's something you need to consider. Now, second consumption we need to consider over here for modern harness agent is runtime usage for agent and workflow. Okay, so this is what the build time. So in build time, you are having the control in your hand. If you are not using this type of prompt to create an agent, then of course you can save this particular test. But what if the runtime? Runtime you can't prevent, because runtime anyway you need to test it out, and anyway when you are sharing with the user, it will consume your runtime usage. Now, how it is calculating the runtime usage? It basically categorized based on 4 factors: models, runtime, context, and tools. What things you are using in your agent. Now, based on that as well, they have categorized the credit consumption into 3 main parts. One is light agent scenario, medium agent scenario, and heavy agent scenario. Let's say for an example, you made a prompt and it only uses few sources and doing very light reasoning and very small output it is returning, then estimated credit consumption is 100 to 300. If you are having multiple sources, you need the structured reasoning and it is returning 2+ output in that, then of course the credit consumption will be in between 300 to 500. And at the end, when you are having the very heavy agent, which is doing the broad aggregation, deep reasoning, multiple output is generated, at the time your credit consumption is more than 500 credit over here. So this will give you a rough idea that how much credit it will consume in the Copilot Studio's modern interface or GitHub Copilot harness agent. So just to summarize, while you are building the agent, this is the thing you need to consider during the creation time: light creation, medium creation, and heavy creation. Consumption you can see on my screen over here. And no credit. This is very, very important, guys. Okay. Again, recap this video. I'm 100% saying multiple times over here. If you are manually configuring your agent, you can still save this particular cost. But if you are using AI to generate your agent, then of course you need to pay for that. Okay, so understand that. And runtime is anyway we needed, but again it depending on the factor what model, what runtime, context and tools you are using into that, depending on that 3 category: light agent, medium agent, and heavy agent, and credit consumption that you can see on my screen. So that's pretty much about the GitHub Copilot harness agent. Standard harness we already talked about in few minutes back. The whole table was there, that how much credit for each thing, and at the time you will also get benefited from the M365 Copilot license over there as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We are having it for today, and that's all about the licensing in depth for Copilot Studio. If you are for the first time to my channel, make sure you hit thumbs up and subscribe my channel. And don't forget to press the bell notification to never miss any updates from my channel. Also, if you like the premium content from my channel, there are 3 premium courses available at this point on my channel. You can join the premium membership, which is less than a medium size of pizza pricing, and you can exclusively access all the premium content from my channel. Also, I am conducting the different live training programs across the Power Platform. So you can always check our latest training program from our website www.powerplatformtrainings.com. Next month we are starting the program for Canvas application, model driven application, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, along with Power Pages. So stay tuned for the more updates, and see you in the next episode with some amazing content. And don't forget to follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. All the links are available in the description box. With that note, this is Dhruveem signing off. See you in the next episode.